Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dive Deep. I'm Shelby Cornett, and I'm the ministry assistant at Cambridge City Christian Church. And this is Danny. He's never seen High School Musical.
No, and I don't plan to.
Disappointed.
I know Shelby, when I told her I'd never watched it, she looked at me like I was an alien or something. Sorry to disappoint.
I was in like second or third grade when it came out, though.
Yeah. And I was like,
Old.
20-something with kids. So, yeah.
See, you had kids, so that's why I thought that you might have watched it.
No. My kids weren't really into all that.
Yeah.
No.
It's good.
Darn.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about church stuff.
That's what this podcast is about.
Not High School Musical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, serious stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're still in the series, What on Earth Am I Here For?
Yep, week 4.
Mm-hmm. And this week was Called to Belong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it says.
I must not have changed it on the bulletin. It's supposed to be become. Called to become.
Oh.
But, okay.
Well, Danny messed up.
Yeah. Interesting. I thought I
guess
fixed that.
this blank says become. I mean, not the type. Anyways.
I thought I did. Oh, well. Well, too late now to fix the bulletin. So.
Called to become.
Yes, called to become.
Sanctification.
Sanctification. You've heard that word before, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, you told me last week.
Mm-hmm.
During
That's the first time you've heard of it.
I might have heard it.
I think I've said it
a
time or two before here in recent months, but yeah.
Sanctification.
So what is sanctification?
Becoming more like Jesus. The process of becoming more like Jesus.
Yeah.
That's what
Very
it
good.
says.
Okay.
I put the process of sanctification is kind of like pronouncing it. It's difficult. You have to work for it.
Yep. It doesn't come easy. It'd be nice, if God, like, you accepted Christ and became a Christ follower, and then, like that, you were exactly the way he wants you to be again. But as we know, that's not going to happen until we leave this life and go back to our true home. So yeah, it is a hard process.
Yeah,
That's a good way of putting it. It is hard. I mean, it's hard to say it. It's hard to do it, or hard to allow it to be done to you. I guess is the better way of saying it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I like that you pointed out being 10% of Jesus is better than not trying at all.
Yeah, and I think one of the temptations for some people, I've heard a person or two say it out loud, but most people won't say it out loud, and that is, well, I'm never going to be like Jesus, so why even try?
Right.
And I think that maybe some people subconsciously believe that. They're like, okay, I accepted Christ. He forgave me of my sin. I know that I've got a place in heaven. I'm part of God's family. Yes, I should live, a good life in response to that, but I don't.
But I'm never going to get there.
Yeah, I'm never going to get there, so why even try?
Right.
And first of all, that's very unbiblical. But secondly, 10% of Jesus in your life, or 30% or 50%, is better than none, and that can really affect the world that we're in. So, yeah, but it is disheartening, I think, when people say that, because let's just be honest, it's kind of lazy.
And I think it's probably more common than we think it is.
It is. Yep. I think in the church right now, that might be one of the biggest problems, is that people aren't surrendering themselves to allowing God to sanctify them.
It's like saying, "Oh, Jesus paid, like he covered my sins, so I can do whatever I want."
Yeah, I mean, so to give you I'll try to do this in a quick, non-boring way, but I don't know how I'm going to be able to do that.
Okay,
but I'll
my
take
eyes
a
are
stab at
open.
it. So what's happened? The church throughout the centuries has had this problem, okay? And the problem is trying to figure out, okay, how much are we supposed to do, and how much are we supposed to receive? So for the first 1,400 years of the church or so, let me rephrase that. For the first 300 years of the church, it seems like when you look at some of the writings from that period, they had a pretty good balance, okay? Then the next, 1,200 years within Catholicism, it tended to skew more toward what are you going to do, Like,
Okay.
well, how can you prove yourself to be worthy of salvation, kind of a thing, okay? Then you had the Reformation with people like Martin Luther, okay, that said, well, wait a minute. It's all what God does, which is definitely biblical. But now what's happened within the church is people have said, okay, I've accepted Jesus. I'm good now.
Right.
So we have a really hard time in the church finding that balance of saying, okay, I receive something, but as a result, I'm also called to become something.
Right.
And so...
they're not making it a two-way street.
yeah, and see, I think the reason why is it's hard to describe it. Like, when you say two-way street, I don't know if that's the best way to put it either, because it's because, like, yes, Jesus is the one that saves you, but he's still telling me I've got to do something. Like, it doesn't, like, we
Right.
think so concretely, like, it's either this or this, not this and this, okay? So we're like, okay, Jesus saved me, I'm good. We don't think, okay, Jesus saved me and he wants me to also grow and mature in my faith. We have a harder time with, especially within Western thought, of doing that. So I think that's where we run into the problem. And so what the church has done is we tend to go from one extreme to the other. And we've really got to find that balance. We really do. Because, well, you've probably run into it through the years, or maybe you've heard people say it, like, well, such and such is a Christian, but look at the way that they live their life or whatever. Well, there's some legitimacy to that. I mean, there's, okay, and so, but see, what's happened is that some Christians think, well, I'm good. I've been saved. I've been baptized. I've been received the Holy Spirit, whatever, but I can go live the way I want. And that's not at all what God says, but that's kind of what a lot of people think.
Right.
I mean, I think right now I'm very concerned within our country, specifically. You see a lot of people who call themselves Christians, but my goodness, you go on their social media, you see them, even actresses and actors, they say they're Christians, and then you see what they do. It's like, it's a really bad testimony.
Yeah.
And so we have to somehow get back into that. These two complementary ideas. They're not conflicting. Some people think they're conflicting, but they're not. They're complementary. You're saved to become. You're saved to be more like Jesus. So
Jesus put in a lot of work, but you have work to put in too.
Yeah, and the work that you put in isn't to save you. It's a response. It's a response to what God's doing in your life. And that's the part a lot of people miss out on. Yeah.
So then we talked about the purpose was rediscovering the achievable dream to become. And the first thing you said was simplify your life.
Yeah, simplicity.
So dropping things. That's hard.
That's very hard, because we feel like if we're not doing something, we're like wasting time or useless or whatever.
And you talked about time wasters. And I thought, my phone, stuff I do on my phone could be dropped. And I know we talk about that all the time.
That's probably the biggest one. I mean, all of us fall prey to that. I mean, sometimes I'll catch myself on my phone, and then I'm like, why am I looking at this? Like, I just looked at it. Like, but we've just become so
Or if I'm like
conditioned.
playing on my phone, I'll open Facebook, and then I'll close it, and then I'll go to open something else, and I like open Facebook again. I'm like, what am I
I just looked at it.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. I think most people do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time wasters.
Yes.
In Hebrews, there was the verse that I use out of Hebrews 12 was, it says, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. So we have to strip ourselves down. In other words, take every weight that can take you down. Now, something that I didn't say Sunday that, I don't know, it's not rated R, I guess, but, but nonetheless, another image that Paul might have had when he was saying this is back in his time when people would race. They would have races. There was the Olympics and stuff.
Yeah.
They weren't around for couple thousand years, and they came back, back in the late 1800s. But when he says here, let us strip off every weight, most runners at that period ran in the nude.
Oh.
Yeah. And so maybe that's kind of the idea that he has, is like these people ran without anything to hold them back. Back then they didn't have the athletic clothing and stuff like we have today. So it was probably pretty burdensome to wear things when you're running. Okay. So when you think of it, I know it's a weird way to think of it with a scripture passage, but when you think of it, I mean, that's kind of what he's saying. He's saying, don't let anything hold you down that keeps you from growing.
See, I thought of it a little differently.
All right, what'd you think?
Because, and actually, I didn't think of it this way until Tuesday before prayer.
Okay.
I was talking with Bob,
Okay.
and he was talking about a pastor giving a message and putting rocks in a backpack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the more things you do is like
Sure.
it's more
That's another way
rocks
of
you're
looking at
throwing
it
in your
too.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
then you don't have to think about nakedness. Just rocks in a backpack.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, you can definitely add things,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I'm not saying that that's a wrong way of looking at it, but I think if you look here too, he's talking about
stripping
things
yeah.
off, not
Mhm.
adding on to things.
Right,
So,
and that's what, like you got
yeah.
to take rocks out of the backpack.
yeah,
Take,
sure,
Yeah.
sure, yeah. So, yeah. So, what do you think you need to drop?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about phone time.
Phone time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say TV, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
watch a lot of TV. And my kids are young enough. We don't have a whole lot going on right now.
Yeah. I would say, for me, I mentioned this a little bit Sunday, is I tend to be a person when people ask me to be a part of something or help with something, I say yes. And I've kind of
Right.
had this idea recently that I need to probably disconnect from a few things. I think that I've kind of
Like
gotten...
it's okay to say no.
Yeah. And maybe that's a place to start for most people,
Mm-hmm.
is to learn how to say no a little bit more
Right.
often. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The big thing that I had was, you said don't be impatient.
Yeah.
I'm so bad about that.
Well, I think everybody. We're
Because I
kind
want
of-
results. Like,
We've been conditioned. I mean, our culture is so
Yeah.
impatient. I mean, from food to TV shows, like
Mhm.
you look at television now. What's really changed in the last 10 years is now you can binge
mhm.
shows.
And
Like
there's no commercials. Like
no
you don't even
commercials.
have to take
Yeah.
a break because
before you'd have to watch a show and wait a week. And and I've noticed that there are some streaming shows that they're starting to do that again. But on the most part, that's not what people want. They
Right.
want to be able to watch episode
A whole
after episode
series,
after
yeah.
episode, without any, waiting a week or whatever.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we've just been conditioned that way. But God's got all the time in the world.
like I'm not going to become the perfect Christian overnight.
Yeah.
It's going to take. Well, I'm never going to be the perfect
Mhm.
Christian, but
There is no Netflix version of
Yeah.
Christianity. Yeah. Mhm.
it's a lifelong
Yes.
process, and it's
Yes.
never going to stop.
No. And God will complete it in the end, but yeah, it's a long, often hard process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then I liked one of the passages that said, because of the joy waiting for him, he thought nothing
Mhm.
of the disgrace of dying on the cross.
Yeah.
That's big.
Big.
Obviously, dying on the cross is big.
Right.
But for him to, like, it says he thought nothing of the disgrace.
Yeah, it's in Hebrews 12. Yeah, on the contrary, because of the joy that was waiting for him, he thought nothing of the disgrace of dying on the cross. He is now seated at the right hand of God, right side of God's throne. And then it goes on to say, think of what he went through, how he put up with so much hatred from sinners. So do not let yourselves become discouraged and give up.
Yeah.
It's really good, isn't it? It's good stuff. Yeah.
That's what you want to become. That's like,
Yeah.
I feel like you could just look at like that passage and be like,
Yeah.
that's what I want to become.
He thought nothing of the disgrace of the cross because he knew what was coming in the
Mhm.
end.
Most people don't
No.
feel that way.
No, we want to feel good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we don't think about
I'm going to
later.
avoid the cross and other, or whatever. I'm going to avoid
Right.
the cross because that's the problem now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way Jesus, he was like, no, I will deal with the cross now,
Mm-hmm.
pay the price, but I know what's coming later.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, most people don't, most
Yeah.
people don't, they don't think like that.
Right.
Me included. I mean, I'm not going to
Yeah.
cast stones. I think
Well,
all
like-
of us are in that boat.
I don't want to say nobody thinks that way, but
Most people don't.
yeah.
A large majority. of
Most of the
people.
time, if you say you think that way, that you're not.
Yeah.
That's not the truth.
Yeah.
Because I know I don't.
Yeah. It's a really neat concept there, but it's one I think that's hard for us to really understand
Mhm.
because of our problem with waiting,
Yeah.
our impatience. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, part of when I was sharing that text, the idea was when things get hard, remember the reward. I think that's something we could all do a better job at.
Yeah.
That there's something better waiting for us.
Right.
But
And the last thing I wrote was
Mhm.
the what you don't finish, God will.
yeah,
It made me think of like an anchor in a race. Like he's the last one.
oh yeah, that's a
He
good way of putting
finishes
it.
the race for
Yeah.
you. But then he's also an anchor, like holds
Yeah.
you down. Like
So I think you did track or something in high
Mhm.
school, right? So did you do like relays?
kinda. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Every
and
now and
or
then.
you saw people do
Yeah.
relays. So I'm not a track type person. Like, so when the coach was thinking of who would run which legs of the relay, like kind of what was their thinking? Do you
Typically
remember?
the fastest one was last.
Okay, so typically you put the fastest person,
Or second, but most of the time last.
last. Okay, so so that they can make up ground.
Yeah.
In other words, hopefully
They're the ones that are gonna save you.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they can pick up whatever maybe you've lost.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, I could see what you're saying. You know, God's going to be the anchor leg. He's the one that's going to
Mm-hmm.
he's going to finish what's not done, what you
Yeah.
didn't get done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a neat way of putting it.
Yeah.
Good insight, Shelby.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Another insightful thought.
You are full of them.
Yeah. That's all I had
All
for
right.
this week.
Yeah, this was a good week. So yeah, we're coming down to the final 2 weeks of the series, and I'm excited about that. So we're going to be talking this Sunday on. I'm trying to remember. My mind went blank. Because see, I've been working on these sermons. I've actually got 2 sermons
You're
from now
ahead.
done. So I'm trying to like remember. Because I know the
don't
last
remember what
week
this
is
week is
the
either.
call to go. The call to let's see, this week was become to bless.
Bless.
That's right. Called to bless. Thank you.
Travis
yeah.
knows what's going
Yeah,
on.
I wrote that 2 weeks ago, so I'm like thinking of this week's. Yeah, I'm on. That's
Yeah.
the problem with getting ahead on sermons. So yeah, called to bless, and we're going to be talking about serving. We have our ministry fairs
Mhm.
this week, and that's shaping up nicely. So hopefully, those who aren't serving, or maybe some who are serving but maybe thinking of something else,
Mm-hmm.
they can kind of jump in and serve.
Yeah, I'm excited. Makes
Yeah.
me think of a science fair.
Mm-hmm. Sort of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just
no
the boards.
experiments. No experiments though.
Yeah.
We're not going to blow
But
anything
the boards.
up, or yeah, we're not going to blow anything up or mix things together.
We could.
or-
That might draw more people.
Good idea. Do a pyrotechnic show.
Yeah.
A ministry
Great idea.
pyrotechnic show.
I don't know if that's a great idea.
Not with a cardboard poster board.
Yeah.
Probably not.
We could be in the paper.
Just not in a good way.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
So, yeah, this week, make sure come check out the ministry fair.
Yep.
It's Canal Days weekend.
It is Canal Days weekend.
So we
too.
got local
Yep.
stuff going on
Local
this week.
things happening. Busy weekend. Yeah.
But yeah, come see us as we continue the series, and we'll talk to you next week.